Hi! This week we'll be highlighting Kaleia Martin and her involvement with environmental justice and Generation Next. I'm so excited to be able to talk to her, as well as her special guest from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Let's take a listen.
So my government name is Kaleia Martin. Living here in Charlotte is what I call home. I'm a environmental justice organizer, climate justice organizer, and I also have done a pretty good amount of work with young people, particularly Black and Brown students across North Carolina, helping them develop their leadership skills, their critical consciousness, and really leaning into their power and voice that they have as young people to make a change. So I wanted to teach students the things that I wish someone would have taught me, helping them develop their leadership skills, talking to them about race and racism and white supremacy, and being able to break those issues down for them in a way that they can not only understand but also articulate to their peers was something that I realized was a passion of mine, because I wish someone could have given me that language and knowledge at that age.
Hi, my name is Janasia DeRoyer. I am a rising sophomore at North Carolina A&T, and I'm 19 years old. I've definitely experienced, felt, and seen these. Everybody that I know, including me, has had or knows someone who's had asthma, either now or when they were younger. My access to healthier food options are very limited. The first time was either my junior or senior year of high school. At my job, I was taught about it, and it honestly definitely impacts the way that I think now. I know that I can do something because it was made this way. It's not just this way, so I know that I can fix this and I can turn things around and actually do something to change the way that things are. Definitely through word of mouth, through my peers, just bring it up in discussion and making sure that although I might not be doing things right now to actively try and change it, at least educating my peers and sparking up conversation and planting that seed. So definitely. And yeah.
Every generation that grows up not knowing not only our history, but our current situation that we, particularly as Black and African American people, find ourselves in, is another lost generation. It's another generation that's not prepared for the battle that we've been put into since birth. So to me, it's really important that we're raising generations of conscious young people, because we know historically that young people have always been the drivers of the movement. I was watching a Black Panther documentary this past week, and it kind of hit me that those were 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-old young people doing those free breakfast programs. Those are people who decided they weren't going to go to college. They were going to commit their lives to the movement. Only young people can make that decision. They made that decision at the transition point of their life. So it has to come from young people. But if our young people grow up not knowing that there's a battle that we need them for, then they're going to kind of fall into the same patterns that we have. So just trying to break the cycle, trying to be in the number of people who are on the right side of history, actually. So Generation Next means to me that we are preparing every generation after us, meaning like the next ones, for the battle that they're in. I think the pandemic has shown us not only that the planet can heal itself, but also how much we've harmed it. So, we saw the memes and the posts about how the air smog cleared up in China and in places like LA. We saw that there were dolphins swimming down the canal in Italy, and we've never seen that before. So I think having young people see that this is something that is possible, and because they got a glimpse of what it could be, I think young people are the most likely to push for the better alternative, the better reality that we now know is possible if we just do the right things to the planet. I mean, in particular, when we're talking about young people, it's important that we meet them where they are. So, for instance, young people ain't on Facebook, so we can create all the content and posts we want. I realized that a lot of my followers on Instagram are different than my friends on Facebook. So what I started doing was screenshotting my post to Facebook and posting it on my IG story. And so then what was happening once I made that small adjustment was, my students who follow me now, because that was their graduation gift. I told them when they graduated high school, I'd follow them on Instagram. But, they follow me. And so now what's happening is I'll write a post, and sometimes I'll see them share it on their story. Now they're going back to their friends and having that dialogue, and then their friends are sharing it. So just one, thinking about the ways that we communicate, understanding that Instagram is the platform for Gen Z, and now TikTok, like that's where we have to go. So anytime we're creating content, we have to make it adaptable so that if we're really trying to get young people involved, we need to make sure they see it first. The other thing I'll say is like, we can't lean on traditional ways of education where I'm the teacher, they're the student, you listen to me and I lecture you. You have to find creative ways, and this goes for adults too. People retain information when it's more engaging and when it's fun. And so we as adults have to understand that we have power in our words, because we might be crushing the creativity without knowing it. We might be crushing their ability to dream radically because of our language, because we don't take the time to say, I value that perspective. Thank you for sharing it. Have you thought about it this way? Versus saying, I hear what you're saying, but that's just not how the world works, little cuz. Like, you'll get it when you get older. We have to be careful with our language because those things are defeating. They're demoralizing. They're deflating. Just to have that laugh. So you have to have fun. And I think that's another thing we can learn from young people. It's okay to have fun. We have to have fun in this movement. This work is hard. Like, we can't be serious all the time. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bunch of serious folks in a room trying to figure it out, and that's cool, but we need more than that if you're going to win. I think Generation Next is Generation Now, because they are organizing right now, and it's on us to act right now so that every Generation Next after that has the tools that are needed. That way, as they move forward, they don't forget. We're planting the seeds. And if we plant the seeds, they're going to come, they're going to harvest, and it's going to be good for the entire movement. We can't expect these young people to just come out here and want to do this work for free. We don't live in that type of life. Like, we don't have that type of economy for young people, especially like Black and brown students, to afford to be able to commit hours to justice without pay. That's a privilege. And so if we're really trying to touch people on the front lines of this issue, we're going to have to cough up some coins. And that's, paying the young people and paying a person to work with those young people. It's also important for us to explain this to young people. I remember having a conversation with my students where we talked about money and the fact that, like, it's only real because we think it's real. And they're like, all right, well, why don't we just think of something else as a way to measure all of these things? And, like, it just turned into this like radical dreaming session about what an alternative society could look like. And we're laughing and joking and saying, oh, that's funny, ooh, well, if we do this, why don't we do that? But that's really how we create revolutions.
Right.
Like, those types of conversations, even though they were fun and we were joking, those are the conversations we need. That's the creativity that we need to get ourselves out of the situations that we find ourselves in. So we can't discount the importance of doing radical dreaming. Young people, especially as these newer generations are coming up, are way more open-minded. And so they're willing to define what society means to them. And I think it would be in all of our best interests to learn from that. We don't even know what the next generation is going to come up with, but we know that they're on a trajectory of this like wild creativity. And that's what it's going to take to solve the climate crisis. That's what it's going to take to solve racism. That's what it's going to take to solve everything. So we really have to make sure that as adults, we're not putting their thinking into boxes, trying to force them to believe something that's not true to them. We can't stifle that energy, because I think that energy is what's going to save us in the long run. My social media is Kaleia Michelle, Michelle with one L. So it's KALEIA on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. When people ask me how to stay in touch with me, I always give them Soul Nation, honestly, because again, I'm latched on to Nikisha. She can't get rid of me. So any work that she's doing, I'm following. And so if folks are really trying to get plugged in, that's where I send people to, because she's consistent. She's been doing this work. So I know for a fact, if you're connected with them, you're connected with me, because I'm not going anywhere.